of Erica Uyterhoeven. Thank you.
Thank you. Chairs Ryan, Chairs Brady, esteemed members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to testify and for taking me out of turn. I have a number of bills before this committee, which include H.4127, H.4126, H.2983, and I also do want to express my support for the R Plus bill, H.2932 and S.1884. But I would like to focus my remarks in support of H.2984, an act relative to pension divestment from companies providing military equipment to the State of Israel. I filed this bill out of a moral calling. We have been bearing witness to a genocide, apartheid, and a humanitarian crisis with over 2 million Palestinians who are not only on the brink of starvation, but are killed daily for merely trying to feed themselves. Based on the Integrated Food Security Phase Classification System, an estimated 925,000 Gazans, or 44% of the population, are already experiencing emergency acute food insecurity, close to the starvation threshold, and a further 244,000 are in catastrophe threshold and have fallen below that. This bill addresses the role the state of Massachusetts plays in enabling this genocide. Currently, Massachusetts pensions are being invested in corporations that manufacture arms sold to Israel, and this bill divests our pensions from companies explicitly complicit by divesting from any company selling weapons to the State of Israel, unless the company announces within 30 days of the effective date of this bill that it will not renew or enter into contracts for weapon sales. By divesting from companies directly complicit in these atrocities, the bill ensures our public dollars are no longer used to fund violence against Palestinians. I filed this bill alongside my Palestinian, Muslim, and Jewish constituents, as well as my constituents who, like me, have no direct personal ties to the atrocities unfolding in Palestine and Israel. But still, I believe each of us carries a moral responsibility to act, to speak out, and to stand for what is right, even when it is difficult. Acclaimed writer Ta-Nehisi Coates recently spoke out about the Palestinian struggle, drawing from his own experience as a son of Jim Crow. He could not ignore the stark parallels between American segregation and the apartheid conditions Palestinians endure. For him, as for many of us, any ethnocratic state that denies equal rights is morally indefensible. My connection to what is unfolding is rooted in my identity as a Japanese American and the generational trauma of my family and community. Like Palestinians, my people were senselessly murdered and their basic humanity was disregarded in the name of national security. It was under this justification, which still is debated as a strategic necessity, that the United States carried out indiscriminate mass murder of innocent Japanese civilians, including children, in Hiroshima, Nagasaki, and numerous cities through firebombing. In just a few years of war, 3% of the total population of Japan perished. Today in Gaza, the United Nations estimates that 2.7% of the population has been killed since October 7th, while the medical journal The Lancet puts that figure even higher, between 7 and 9%. It's difficult to find words that make sense of such extreme violence, and it raises the deeper question, what conditions must exist for such horrific acts to be normalized and accepted in the first place? A common thread is the process of dehumanization and denationalization, the idea that some lives are worthy and some lives are not. It requires us to ignore their voices when they tell the truth of their experience and the violence being inflicted upon them. That is what is so familiar. Our nation's history and its founding is riddled with this, whether it be the Japanese during World War II, the killing of Vietnamese civilians to stop the rise of communism, or the extermination of the Arawaks by Columbus and the Wampanoags by the Puritan English in Massachusetts Bay Colony. Their voices and humanity have been erased from the story. Even long before October 7th, the statements of our elected leaders, government, and news media barely acknowledged the existence of Palestinians. Because they are omitted, the reality of living under an apartheid state is systematically concealed. Those who dared to speak out have faced harsh backlash, most notably our students, who have historically been a powerful voice for peace and moral conscience. Today, many face incarceration, deportation, and upheaval simply for exercising their First Amendment right to free speech and protest in support of Palestine. Among them are our very own Somerville resident Rumeysa Öztürk, Mahmoud Khalil, and many, many others. And yet we choose to speak because our identities and lived experiences bind us to the Palestinian struggle through empathy and solidarity. I filed this bill because the humanity of my Palestinian neighbors matters deeply to me, and because we all deserve a future defined by peace and justice. I recognize that this is not easy. Speaking for myself, No other issue has brought me more fear, anxiety, and hours of wrestling and self-scrutiny over every word than speaking about the genocide in Gaza. But it is the right thing to do. We were elected and took on this moral responsibility. This bill demands that we confront and take responsibility for our state's role in funding genocide and that we act to end it. Thank you for your time and thoughtful consideration.
Thank you, Representative. Are there any questions from the committee? Seeing none, we appreciate your testimony.
Thank you.
Thank you.